Space robots. Humans have always looked up into the night sky and dreamt about space. In the latter half of 20th century, rockets were developed that were powerful enough to overcome the force of gravity to reach orbital velocities, paving the way for space exploration to become a reality. In the 1930s and 1940s, Nazi Germany saw possibilities of using long-distance rockets as weapons. Late in World War II, London was attacked by 200-mile range V-2 missiles, which arched 60 miles high over the English Channel at more than 3,500 miles per hour. After World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union created their own missile programs. On October 4, 1957, the Soviets launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, into space. 4 years later, on April 12, 1961, Russian Lieutenant Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit Earth in Vostok 1. His flight lasted 108 minutes, and Gagarin reached an altitude of 327 kilometers. The first US satellite, Explorer 1, went into orbit on January 31, 1958. In 1961, Alan Shepard became the first American to fly into space. 1 year later, in 1962, John Glenn's historic flight made him the first American to orbit Earth. The first US satellite, Explorer 1, went into orbit on January 31, 1958. In 1961, Alan Shepard became the first American to fly into space, and 1 year later, John Glenn's historic flight made him the first American to orbit Earth. Landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth within a decade was a national goal set by President J.F. Kennedy in 1961. On July 20th, 1969, astronaut Neil Armstrong took one giant leap for the mankind as he stepped onto the moon. Total of 6 Apollo missions were made to explore our natural satellite between 1969 and 1972. During the 1960s, unmanned spacecraft photographed and probed the moon before astronauts even landed. By the early 70s, orbiting communication and navigation satellites were in everyday use, and the Mariner spacecraft was orbiting and mapping the surface of Mars. By the end of the decade, the Voyager spacecraft had sent back detailed images of Jupiter and Saturn, also their rings and their moons. The Hubble Space Telescope, often referred to as HST or Hubble, is a space telescope that was launched into low Earth orbit in 1990 and remains in operation. It was not the first space telescope, but it's one of the largest and most versatile, renowned both as vital research tool and as a public relations bone for astronomy. Named in honor of the trailblazing astronomer Edwin Hubble, the Hubble Space Telescope is a large, space-based observatory which has revolutionized astronomy since its launch and deployment by the Space Shuttle Discovery in 1990. Hubble's capabilities have grown immensely in its over 30 years of operation. This is because new cutting-edge scientific instruments have been added to the telescope over the course of 5 astronaut servicing missions. By replacing and upgrading aging parts, these servicing missions have greatly extended the telescope's lifetime. Telescopes have a particular range of light that they can detect. Hubble's domain extends from the ultraviolet, through the visible light and into the near-infrared. This range has allowed Hubble to deliver stunning images of stars, galaxies, and other astronomical objects that have inspired people around the world and changed our understanding of the universe. Hubble telescope has made more than 1.4 million observations over the course of its lifetime. The telescope has tracked interstellar objects as they soared through our solar system, watched a comet collide with Jupiter, and discovered moons around Pluto. Hubble telescope has made more than 1.4 million observations over the course of its lifetime. The telescope has tracked interstellar objects as they soared through our solar system, watched a comet collide with Jupiter, and discovered moons around Pluto. It has found dusty disks and stellar nurseries throughout the Milky Way that may one day become fully fledged planetary systems and study the atmospheres of planets that orbit other stars. Hubble has peered back into our universe's distant past, to locations more than 13.4 billion light-years from Earth, capturing galaxies merging, probing the supermassive black holes that lurk in their depths, and helping us better understand the history of the expanding universe. In its over 30 years of operation, Hubble has made observations that have captured humanity's imaginations and deepened our knowledge of the cosmos. It will continue to do so for years to come. The Black Eye Galaxy. The Cigar Galaxy. Dumbbell Nebula, Eagle Nebula, Lagoon Nebula, Omega Nebula or Swan Nebula, Orion Nebula, Pleiades, the Ring Nebula, Sombrero Galaxy, Whirlpool Galaxy. The International Space Station (ISS) is a modular space station, habitable artificial satellite in low Earth orbit. It is a multinational collaborative project involving 5 participating space agencies: NASA, United States, Roscosmos, Russia, JAXA, Japan, ESA, Europe, and CSA, Canada. The ownership and the use of the space station is established by intergovernmental treaties and agreements. The station serves as a microgravity and space environment research laboratory, in which scientific research is conducted in astrology, astronomy, meteorology, physics, and other fields. The ISS is suited for testing the spacecraft systems and equipment required for possible future long-duration missions to the Mars and Moon. Since the International Space Station is a multinational collaborative project, the components for in-orbit assembly were manufactured in various countries around the world. Beginning in mid-1990s, the US components Destiny, Unity, the Integrated Thrust Structure, and the solar arrays were fabricated at the Marshall Space Flight Center and the Michoud Assembly Facility. These modules were delivered to Operations and Checkout Building and the Space Station Processing Facility (SSPF) for final assembly and processing for launch. The ISS provides a location and relative safety of low Earth orbit to test spacecraft systems that will be required for long-duration missions to the Moon and Mars. This provides experience in operations, maintenance, as well as repair and replacement activities on orbit, which will be essential skills in operating spacecraft further from Earth. Mission risk can be reduced and the capabilities of interplanetary spacecraft advanced. Referring to Mars 500 experiment, ESA states that, whereas the ISA is essential for answering questions concerning the possible impact of weightlessness, radiation, and other space-specific factors, aspects such as the effect of long-term isolation and confinement can be more properly addressed via ground-based simulations. Sergei Krasnov, the head of human spaceflight programmers for Russia's space agency, Roscosmos, in 2011 suggested a shorter version of Mars 500 might be carried out on the ISS. The ISS is helping further advance near-Earth space exploration and realization of prospective programmers of research and exploration of the solar system, including the Moon and Mars. A crewed mission to Mars may be a multinational effort involving space agencies and countries outside the current ISS partnership. In 2010, ESA Director General Jean-Jacques Dordain stated his agency was ready to propose to the other 4 partners that China, India, and South Korea be involved to join in the ISS partnership. NASA Chief Charles Bolden stated in February 2011, "Any mission to Mars is likely to be a global effort." Currently, US federal legislation prevents NASA cooperation with China on space projects. Voyager 1 is a space probe that was launched by NASA on September 5, 1977, part of the Voyager program to study the outer solar system. Voyager 1 was launched 16 days after its twin, Voyager 2, having operated for over 43 years. The spacecraft still communicates with the Deep Space Network to receive routine commands and to transmit data to Earth. Real-time distance and velocity data is provided by NASA and JPL. At a distance of 22.8 billion kilometers from Earth as of April 24, 2021, it is the most distant man-made object from Earth. The probe's objectives included flybys of Jupiter, Saturn, and Saturn's largest moon, Titan. Although the spacecraft's course could have been altered to include a Pluto encountered by foregoing the Titan flyby, exploration of the Moon took priority because it was known to have a substantial atmosphere. Voyager 1 studied the weather, magnetic fields, and rings of the 2 planets, and was the first probe to provide detailed images of their moons. As part of the Voyager program, like its sister craft Voyager 2, the spacecraft is in an extended mission to locate and study the regions and boundaries of the outer heliosphere, and to begin exploring the interstellar medium. Voyager 1 crossed the heliopause and entered interstellar space on August 25, 2012, making it the first spacecraft to do so. 2 years later, Voyager 1 began experiencing a third tsunami wave of coronal mass ejections from the Sun that has continued to at least December of 2014, further confirming that the probe is indeed in an interstellar space. In a further testament to the robustness of Voyager 1, the Voyager team tested the spacecraft's trajectory correction thrusters in late 2017, a project enabling the mission to be extended by 2 to 3 years. Voyager 1's mission is expected to continue until about 2025, when its radioisotope thermoelectric generators will no longer supply enough electric power to operate its scientific instruments. The very special thing about Voyager operations is that each Voyager space probe carries a gold-plated audiovisual disc should the spacecraft ever be found by intelligent life forms from other planetary systems. The disc carries photos of the Earth and its life forms, a range of scientific information like pictorials showing how to operate it, and the position of the Sun among nearby pulsars, in case extraterrestrials were wondering where the spacecraft came from. Spoken greetings from people such as the President of the United States, and a medley, Sounds of Earth, that includes the sounds of whales, a baby crying, waves breaking on shore, and a collection of music including works by Mozart, Blind Willie Johnson, Chuckleberry, and Velia Balkanska. Other Eastern and Western classics are included, as well as various performances of intergenres music from around the world. The record also contains greetings in 55 different languages.